better. Tolwa alge inakaptida iman got kabali. Hamgan kolapokagak. Asiati got in the kaptidados. Sam Alexander Jaha Jefgados. Momanim openayat omes. Azias Keith Kabal and Othlidos. Okwegit and the lady joggies. Good morning. We welcome our guests in the Mound Building, along with those watching live internet streaming on the tribal website. This is the 17th session of the National Council. I'm Sam Alexander, the speaker. It's 10 o'clock, and I call this meeting to order. Pomayeda Ajagi and Omelgat Sabakalachikan Openaya Yahakit Mikosapakan Hayatlis. As is our custom, please stand as the speaker leads a Creek song and offers a word of prayer. As many of you know, I was hospitalized recently and I missed Second Chief Alfred Berryhill's funeral. And had I been there, I would have led this song. We like it, Scott. Geojefget ajogigas. Shimomegidat alogigas. Nema halwe nagi komiski moma ida pomen. Yama ikana no momigas. Netta atlaka tak legan, modenet and pomus. Moment pomwegen, es pomwega safwitlichiat, es emwegakiat ida pomen. Nagi pone othgida poichi, taji is keepit as sipwaitskas. Momus halwaga, asipositus. Omegidet, yukchidet, moment flaktet, janagi omelga omega. Amen. Please be seated. This time I would call on second speaker Robert Huff for the roll call.
Speaker Sam Alexander.
Present.
Representative Shirley Nade. Representative Dodie Barnett.
Present.
Representative Pete Beaver. Present. Representative Frank Coachman.
John Leggett.
Representative Johnny Green.
Present.
Representative David Hill.
Here.
Representative Keeper Johnson. Representative Adam Jones.
Here.
Representative Eddie LeGrone. Representative Kara Medina. Representative David Nichols. Representative Darrell Proctor.
Here.
Representative Mark Randolph.
Present.
Representative Pearl Thomas. Representative Lena Wynn. Representative Thomas Uhola. Representative Hupt is here. Mr. Speaker, we have 18 present and 0 absent.
18 present, 0 absent constitutes a quorum. All the business conducted at that time or today will be considered official business of this tribe. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We have an emergency session August the 8th, 2013, planning session August the 20th, 2013, and the regular session August 24th, 2013. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Make a motion to approve all 3 sets of minutes with any changes.
Have a motion and a second. Representative Medina motions, Representative Uhola seconds. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes? Roll call vote, please.
Kara Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Darrell Proctor, Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas, Lena Wynn, Thomas Uhola, Shirley Nade, Dodie Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones, Eddie LeGrone. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The minutes are approved for the 3 sessions as designated. At this time, I want to call on Dr. Pete Koser for a short award ceremony. Dr. Koser.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This time we'd like to, on behalf of the Higher Education Scholarship Foundation Program, an initiative that was brought forward by Chief Tiger and also at the strategic planning session that happened, an initiative that came out of that, and also the what we call the foundation program. You as a National Council approved that. And the focus of that is to raise funds for scholarships. And in the Education and Training Division, we have the excellent programs in higher ed, employment and training, and those are federal funding. That's federal funding and tribal funding. The higher education program, scholarship foundation program, again, we raise funds, and we're 9 months old. And I've been working with the infrastructure, and we've built that, and we have a membership and executive committee, and we've also been raising funds at the same time. And these funds come from citizens and from employees and vendors, and again, we raise funds. It's not federal funding, and it's not tribal funding. So at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Schultz if she would come forward to help me give out these, again, scholarships and awards. I'll try to be brief as I can, if possible. But the mission statement of the foundation program, and I was able to write this, and again, the members and the executive committee approved this. But the central purpose and role of the Muscogee Creek Nation Higher Education Scholarship Foundation Program, established by the Muscogee Creek Nation National Council, is to promote self-sufficiency, proactive community participation, self-reliance, self-determination, exercise the proficiency of tribal sovereignty, and provide a sustainable future for the Muscogee Creek Nation citizens through academic scholarship, community initiatives, and research that benefit the growth and prosperity of the Muscogee Creek Nation communities. The Muscogee Creek Nation Higher Education Foundation Program is a Muscogee Creek Nation tribal government nonprofit program qualified under Section 7871A of the Internal Revenue Service Code. All contributions to the Muscogee Creek Nation Higher Education Scholarship Foundation Program are tax deductible. Something to remember, folks. Okay. This time I would like to recognize the members of the foundation, and from the members also come an executive committee, and basically this provides the governance for the foundation program. Ms. Charlene Aid, Mr. Woody Anderson, Mr. Emmanuel Bazell, Mr. Robert Bible, Dr. Colbert, Mr. Robert Doherty, Mr. Bill Five, Ms. Joy Harjo, Ms. Shonda Harmon, Dr. Wayne Johnson, Ms. Gerald Wofford, Mr. Will Lowe, Dr. Ann Marshall, Mr. James Pratt, Dr. Lahoma Hicks Schultz, Ms. Marcia Taylor, Ms. Cynthia Tiger, Mr. George Tiger, Mr. Roger Wiley, and Ms. Lena Wynn. The executive committee is President, Mr. Bill Five, Vice President, Dr. Colbert, Secretary, Mr. Roger Wiley, Treasurer, Mr. Pratt, and ex officio members, Principal Chief George Tiger, National Council Representative Ms. Charlene Aid, and Ms. Lena Wynn. And the scholarship applicants that we received, they were based on having a complete and quality application. And do we see evidence of financial need, and then looking at the background, career goals, information, and the intent of the scholarship. Is there a connection? And Muscogee Creek Nation activities, is there any involvement there? And also the potential to be successful, and does this person have career goals? And we have two of the individuals here today that will receive scholarships. The first scholarship is the George and Molly Jones Hicks Memorial Scholarship, and that is a $200 scholarship. And the recipient is Samantha Jolly. And just briefly, of course, she's a Muscogee Creek citizen, and she's a senior at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And she's pursuing a degree in pre-medical biology with hopes and expectations of being a physician. So again, that's the George and Molly Jones Hicks Memorial Scholarship. And the donor, primary donor, is Dr. Schultz. And also, we have the Susan Colleen Wilson Memorial Scholarship, and that person is not here today. The scholarship description, the amount of the scholarship is $500, and the scholarship was conceived as a memorial to Susan Colleen Wilson. In her honor, a scholarship shall be awarded to a Muscogee Creek Nation student who has lost at least one parent. Again, that's $500. And again, to be a citizen and haven't lost one parent. And the winner of that is Mr. Sean Ogle. He attends the University of Oklahoma. Again, is a Muscogee Creek citizen. And just looking at his grade point, he has a 3.14, and he's also taken Beginning Creek, Seminole Creek 2, Native American philosophy, music, and his father is deceased. And the donor for that, the Susan Colleen Wilson Memorial Scholarship, is Mr. Jerry Wilson. And at this time, I would like Mr. Floyd Jones, if he would come forward, please. And this is the Haley Tarpalichi Jones Scholarship, Juski Inhi Lomga, My Mother's Gift. And this scholarship was established to encourage and assist a non-traditional student to reclaim the opportunity of higher education. Okay, this scholarship was dedicated to the late Mahaley Tarpalichi Jones, a full-blood, fluent-speaking Muscogee Creek. And Floyd talks about, due to my mother's own life's journey, she was only able to attend the first and second grades. During the 1920s, family obligation, chores, and lack of means often took precedence over education. However, as a Creek mother, she recognized the importance and value of education, as 3 of her children graduated from an institution of higher education or trade school. Although she only attended 2 years of formal school, she would become my brother's and I greatest teacher. Floyd Jones lovingly dedicates this scholarship to the memory of Mahaley Tarpalici Jones to benefit a Muscogee Creek citizen that shares the same humble giving spirit as to his mother, who always put family before her own needs. And again, this is a $500 scholarship, and the winner is a citizen of the Muscogee Creek Nation and currently enrolled as a graduate student at the Southern Nazarene University, carries a 3.57 grade point average, and is seeking a Master of Business Administration, and is currently enrolled at the College of Muscogee Nation. And she believes that a strong business and educational background will support her efforts to provide information, services, and sustainable educational tools to both students and administration. Ms. McCormick will continue to positively impact the lives of Native American students scheduled to graduate December 2014. Evelyn is the mother of Jennifer and Jonah and grandmother of Savannah. The recipient is Evelyn McCormick, if she is here, if she could come forward. Give a round of applause, please.
I'd just like to thank the Tarpalici Jones family and the tribe for believing in education. It is dear to my heart, and I do work for the College of Muscogee Nation, and my goal is to continue to work there and help our young citizens to continue their education as well. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank you for the generosity.
Thank you, Floyd. Thank you, Evelyn. Knew his mother well and certainly speaks highly of her. And at this time, we'd like to move on to the Ridge Giles Scholarship for Single Mothers, Ichki Manogichka, a Mother's Love. And the scholarship description: and a mother's nurturing love and support we received during our childhood is critical in shaping who we become as adults. This scholarship is a source of empowerment for women who have a vision in pursuing a post-secondary education. And the scholarship was conceived in recognition of Ms. Cheryl Ridge and Mr. Justin Giles. If they would come forward, please. And the amount of this scholarship award is $1,500 for the school year, and the recipient will receive $750 per semester. And again, this scholarship is awarded to a single mother, enrolled citizen, and in a post-secondary academic program. And the recipient is, of course, Muscogee Creek, and a senior at Northeastern State University, and is the mother of 3 children, Skylar, Chandler, and Cadence. And the recipient plans to graduate this spring with a Bachelor of Science degree in molecular and cellular biology, and following graduation would like to get a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences or biomedical sciences. And has also studied at Oklahoma State University in Native Americans and Biological Sciences program. And in the future, Brandy would like to conduct research focusing on managing chronic pain conditions with an emphasis on changes of the chronic pain gene. At this time, I'd like to announce the recipient, who is Miss Brandy Gruen-Wall. If she'd come forward, please.
Thank you. I appreciate this. I have worked very hard to get to this point in my life that I could actually be able to go back to school. My passion has always been and research, and this will help me get to that place. So, thank you very much.
I'd like to thank Sharon and Justin and Dr. Schultz. And Dr. Schultz is, of course, a Creek citizen. She's a clinical psychologist, and she works at the White Eagle Reservation. So, Mr. Speaker, National Council, thank you for your time and support. Mado.
Thank you, sir. Before we get into the order of business, I'd like to recognize Chief Tiger and his cabinet. They've been to just about all these council meetings, and I, for one, appreciate their attendance. And just remember how past administration didn't come to these things. We're doing so much better now, and I just wanted to bring that up. Order of business, NCR 13003, a resolution of the Muscogee Creek National Council selecting J.D. Young to the Board of Directors of One Fire Holding Company, LLC. What's the pleasure of the National Council? I have a motion by Representative Jones, second by Representative Coachman. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Adam Jones? Eddie LeGrone? Karen Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols? Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirley Nade? Dodie Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Keeper Johnson?
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
With 17 yes votes, 0 no votes, the National Council resolution is adopted. JD, would you please stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Tribal Resolution 13120, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a memorandum of agreement between the Muscogee Creek Nation Department of Health and Muscogee Public Schools. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
To pass.
Representative Johnson motions. Representative Pearl Thomas seconds. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Keeper Johnson?
Yes.
Adam Jones?
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone?
Yes.
Karen Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols? Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirley Nade? Dodie Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13121, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a memorandum of agreement between the Muscogee Creek Nation Department of Health and Beggs Public Schools. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
To pass.
Representative Johnson motions. Representative Pearl Thomas seconds. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Keeper Johnson?
Yes.
Adam Jones? Eddie LeGrone? Karen Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols? Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirley Nade? Dodie Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13122, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a memorandum of agreement between the Muscogee Creek Nation and the city of Eufaula. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Proctor motions. Representative Adam Jones seconds. Discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have one question. The location of this stretch of road, does it service our community? I mean, is there like a clinic or a subdivision there, or it's the clinic? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, ma'am. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Roll call vote.
Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Shirley Nade. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13123, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation approving the administrative conditions of a United States Environmental Protection Agency grant awarded to the Muscogee Creek Nation GIS Department. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Randolph motions, Representative Johnny Green seconds. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Shirley Nade. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina. David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13124, tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a direct care services reimbursement agreement between the nation's Department of Health and the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Johnson motions, Representative David Nichols seconds. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Shirley Nade. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13125, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute agreements between the nation's Department of Health, several public school districts to provide behavioral substance abuse services to students. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Thomas motions.
Second.
Representative Kara Medina seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Shirley Nade. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones.
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13126, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a practicum placement program agreement between the nation's Department of Health and the Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Pearl Thomas motions, Representative Keeper Johnson seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Shirley Nade. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones.
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols. Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13127, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute agreements between the nation's Department of Health and West Watkins Technology Center, a part of the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education System. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Thomas motions. Representative Lena Wynn seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yohola. Shirley Nade. Dodie Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
With 17 yes votes and 0 no votes, the tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13128, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute memorandum of agreements between the Muscogee Creek Nation Department of Health and Bristow, Morris, and Preston Public Schools. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Thomas motions.
Second.
Representative Dodie Barnett seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yohola. Shirley Nade. Dodie Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols. Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13129, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief execute a standard form of agreement between the owner and contractor and the general conditions of the contract for construction between the nation and Creekside Management Group for construction services at the nation's multipurpose facility. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Proctor motions, Representative Adam Jones seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yohola. Shirley Nade. Dodie Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13130, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a trademark license agreement with PFS Corporation for inspection of the nation's structural insulated panel manufacturing plant for commercial production. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Jones motions, Representative Yohola seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone. Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols. Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yohola. Shirley Nade. Dodie Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
With 17 yes votes and 0 no votes, the tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. Tribal Resolution 13131, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation establishing tribal membership in the National Congress of American Indians. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to pass.
Motion?
Second.
Second by Representative Randolph. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Dodie Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone.
Yes.
Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor. Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yohola. Shirley Nade. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The tribal resolution is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13205, a law from Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to the Shakota Indian community. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Jones motions.
Second.
Representative Proctor seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Adam Jones?
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone?
Yes.
Kara Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols?
No.
Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
No.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirley Nade? Jody Barnett?
No.
Beaver?
No.
Frank Coachman?
No.
Johnny Green?
No.
David Hill?
No.
Robert Huff?
No.
Keeper Johnson?
No.
Speaker, you have 7 in favor, 10 against.
With 7 yes votes and 10 no votes, the NCA fails. NCA 13212, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation amending MCNCA Title 19, Section 2103 to increase the stipend of the election board members. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Green motions, Representative Pete Beaver seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Keeper Johnson?
No.
Adam Jones?
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone? Kara Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols? Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirley Nade? Jody Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Speaker, you have 16 in favor, 1 against.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to change my vote to yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13213, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation repealing MCNCA Title 35, Chapter 3, entitled Medical Travel Fund, and replacing it with a new Title 35, Chapter 3, entitled Medical Travel Assistance. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Green motions. Representative David Hill seconds. Discussion.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, some of the programs that Creek citizens receive services from increasingly are being W-9'd. I believe it's a dangerous trend that we're on, and it does the Creek citizens a disservice. I can see that in the future, a higher education scholarship will be taxed, or a flu shot will be taxed, or the home that you live in could be taxed by the IRS. The IRS guidelines and guidance is issued and addresses this problem. It requires means testing. Notable legal firms have issued memorandums on the same subject, and they all agree requires means testing. So I offer up an amendment to resolve this W-9 problem on this medical travel assistance. On the second page for number E, I offer up the amendment to strike the existing language and to insert applicants' combined family income shall not exceed $75,000. Proof of income shall be required to determine eligibility. And that will satisfy the IRS, and no W-9s will be issued. This is a tribal program, tribal prerogative, matter of sovereignty. Thanks, sir.
Thanks. Is there a second to that opposed amendment? Representative Robert Huff seconds. Is there discussion on the amendment? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker, could you go read that again, Mr. LeGrone?
Oh, yes, excuse me. That would be section 3-102, number E. Applicants' combined family income shall not exceed $75,000. Proof of income shall be required to determine eligibility.
Yes, ma'am. Is there any discussion or question on the proposed amendment?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
the accompanying change in the Social Services Department Manual in Section 102 would read the same.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that comment. We're going to have a roll call vote on the amendment.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes?
Kara Medina, David Nichols,
Yes.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Shirley Nade, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
Say again.
17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes on the proposed amendment. Back to the main motion. Is there further discussion on the bill? Roll call vote on the main motion.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes?
Kara Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols, Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Shirley Nade, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA as amended is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13217, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a donation to Depew Public Schools. Representative David Hill's sponsor. The Interest on Permit Fund is the funding source.
Mr. No.
Representative Hill motions. Representative Pete Beaver seconds. Is there discussion? This will also require 2/3 vote. Roll call vote, please.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
No.
Adam Jones, Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina,
No.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Shirley Nade, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
Here you have 15 in favor, 2 against.
15 yes votes and 2 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13218, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of funds awarded by the United States Environmental Protection Agency with the Muscogee Creek Nation GIS Department for the implementation of the Muscogee Creek Nation FY 2013 Exchange Network. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Randolph motions. Representative Green seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Pearl Thomas.
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Thomas Yahola. Sterling Aid. Jody Barnett.
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Keeper Johnson.
Yes.
Adam Jones. Eddie LeGrone.
Yes.
Kara Medina.
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Darrell Proctor.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13219, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation amending MCNCA 13-058, parentheses, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation reaffirming support for the protection of the Muscogee sacred site of Hickory Ground near Wetumpka, Alabama, and authorizing a special appropriation for the cost of necessary measures related thereto, end of parentheses. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative LeGrone motions. Representative Hill seconds. Is there discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the National Council, this legislation only extends the window for which expenditures could be made. The original legislation terminated September 30th. It carries through to until funds are expended.
Thank you, sir. Roll call vote, please.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Gerald Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Shirlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones. Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13220, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a donation to the Native American United Methodist Church in Anaheim, California. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Hill motions. Representative LeGrone seconds. Discussion. Vote. Yes. Does anyone object if Representative Wynn co-sponsors? Does anyone object if Representative Pearl Thomas co-sponsors? Thank you. Have a roll call vote, please.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina, David Nichols,
Yes.
Gerald Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Shirlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver, Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13221, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of the Muscogee Creek Nation Department of Health investment account funds for the incidental costs associated with the purchase of the George Nye Rehabilitation Center. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Keeper Johnson, motion. Representative Pearl Thomas, seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones, Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina,
No.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Gerald Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Shirlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver, Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 16 in favor, 1 against.
16 yes votes and 1 no vote. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13222, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to the Sapulpa Indian community. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Hill motions. Representative Dodie Barnett seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
No.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
No.
Gerald Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Pearl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Shirlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
No.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill. Or, never mind. Mr. Speaker, you have 14 in favor, 3 against.
14 yes votes and 3 no votes. NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13223, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to the Holdenville Indian community. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Yahola motions. Representative Shirlene Aid seconds. Is there any discussion on the NCA? Roll call vote.
Thomas Shahola,
No, there was no discussion. This is the vote. Be fine. Is anyone object if Representative Aid is listed as a co-sponsor? Thank you. We'll do the roll call vote starting again, please.
Thomas Shahola, Shirlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
No.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
No.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Kara Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
No.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn. Mr. Speaker, you have 14 in favor, 3 against.
14 yes votes and 3 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. NCA 13225, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation repealing MCNCA Title 4, Sections 1-101, 1-104, and creating the Tribal Burial Assistance and Food Funeral Guidelines under MCNCA Title 35, Chapter 13. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to postpone, and I've asked the chief to have a special session to address this, so postpone for 2 weeks.
Is there a second? Motions have been made and seconded to postpone this for 2 weeks and to ask the principal chief for a session in a couple of weeks to decide this. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is postponed for 2 weeks. NCA 13225, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation appropriating funds to be used for construction services at the nation's multipurpose facility. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Proctor motions. Representative Adam Jones seconds. Is there a discussion? Roll call vote.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13227, law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to the Wilson Indian community. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Jones motions. Representative Charlene Aid seconds. Is there a discussion? Roll call vote.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
No.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
No.
Frank Coachman,
No.
Johnny Green,
No.
David Hill,
No.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson. Mr. Speaker, you have 11 in favor, 6 against.
11 yes votes and 6 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13228, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to Hickory Ground ceremonial grounds. Representative Yahola motions. Representative Frank Coachman seconds. To remind the National Council, this is going to require a 2/3 vote to adopt. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Darrell Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Yahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13229, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a donation to the annual National Tribal Judicial and Court Clerks Conference. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Thomas motions. Representative Barnett seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes, 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13230, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation, authorizing an appropriation for the tribal membership fees of the National Congress of American Indians. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to pass.
Representative Barnett motions. Representative David Hill seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Charlene Aid. Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13231, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation, authorizing a donation to a political candidate. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to pass.
Representative Barnett motions. Representative David Hill seconds. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones, Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
No.
David Nichols,
No.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
No.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Charlene Aid. Mr. Speaker, you have 14 in favor, 3 against.
14 yes votes and 3 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13233, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation, authorizing a special appropriation to Middle Creek Number 2 Baptist Church.
Motion to adopt.
Representative Huff motions. Representative Hill seconds. Is there discussion? Again, this will require a 2/3 vote. Roll call vote, please.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
No.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman,
Yes.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 16 in favor, 1 against.
With 16 yes votes and 1 no vote, the NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13239, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation, authorizing a donation to assist the Oklahoma Indian Missionary Conference for the Legacy, Past Hope for the Future Benefit Gala and Silent Auction. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to adopt.
Representative Johnny Green motions. Representative Pete Beaver seconds. Any discussion?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Does anyone object? Representative Earl Thomas is added as a co-sponsor. Thank you. Again, I would remind the National Council this is going to require a 2/3 vote. Roll call vote, please.
Johnny Green,
Yes.
David Hill,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Keeper Johnson,
Yes.
Adam Jones,
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone,
Yes.
Karen Medina,
Yes.
David Nichols,
Yes.
Daryl Proctor,
Yes.
Mark Randolph,
Yes.
Earl Thomas,
Yes.
Lena Wynn, Thomas Shahola, Charlene Aid, Jody Barnett,
Yes.
Pete Beaver,
Yes.
Frank Coachman.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13240, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to the Newtown Indian United Methodist Church. What's the pleasure of the National Council? Representative Nichols motions.
Second.
Representative Proctor seconds. Is there any discussion? Yes,
Like to
ma'am.
be added to as co-sponsor.
Okay. Does anyone object if Representative Pearl Thomas is added as a co-sponsor to this bill? Thank you. Again, I'd remind the National Council is going to require a two-thirds vote. Roll call vote, please.
David Nichols?
Yes.
Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirlene Aid? Jody Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Keeper Johnson?
Yes.
Adam Jones?
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone?
Yes.
Karen Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against. 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. NCA 13241, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing a special appropriation to Creek Chapel Methodist Church. What's the pleasure of the National Council?
Motion to pass.
Representative Coachman motions. Representative Lena Wynn seconds. Is there discussion?
I'd like to be added to as co-sponsor.
Does anyone object? Representative Pearl Thomas and Lena Wynn are added as co-sponsors. Does anyone object? Thank you. And I would again remind the National Council, this is going to require a two-thirds vote as well. Roll call vote.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
Yes.
David Hill?
Yes.
Robert Huff?
Yes.
Keeper Johnson?
Yes.
Adam Jones?
Yes.
Eddie LeGrone?
Yes.
Karen Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols?
Yes.
Darrell Proctor?
Yes.
Mark Randolph?
Yes.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirlene Aid? Jody Barnett?
Yes.
Pete Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, none against.
17 yes votes and 0 no votes. The NCA is adopted by the National Council. That concludes the order of business. Is there any other business? Yes.
I'd like to recognize the members of the Creek Chapel Church.
Would all right, are they here? Thank you for the invitation, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
I'd also like to readdress NCA 13-205, please.
Come on, Frank. Let's
Is there a second to the motion to reconsider? Representative Shirlene Aid seconds. We have a roll call vote on the motion to reconsider.
Frank Coachman?
Yes.
Johnny Green?
No.
David Hill?
No.
Robert Huff?
No.
Keeper Johnson?
No.
Adam Jones? Eddie LeGrone?
Yes.
Karen Medina?
Yes.
David Nichols?
No.
Darrell Proctor? Mark Randolph?
No.
Pearl Thomas?
Yes.
Lena Wynn? Thomas Yahola? Shirlene Aid? Jody Barnett?
No.
Pete Beaver?
No.
Mr. Speaker, you have 8 in favor and 9 against.
8 yes votes and 9 no votes. The motion to reconsider fails. Is there any other business before the National Council today? I'd like to recognize 3 tribal members who were recently honored and I'm not sure of the exact name of the organization, but it has to do with outstanding Indians that are under 40 years old. We have Angela Bunner. I don't know if she's still here. We have Seneca Smith. We had Seneca Smith and Monty Randall also named, and I'd like to have a round of applause for them as well. Are there any announcements? Chair to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Representative Barnett motions.
Second.
Representative Karen Medina seconds.
Speaker.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Wild Onion dinner at your house. Hey. On October 12th, in 7 o'clock that evening is our second annual gala, Muscogee Hall of Fame gala. We have yet to receive any response from the council. Your council will be the guests. You can bring one guest to the gala. Of course, it's a fundraiser for our Tourism and Recreation Department and the festival, and also the Higher Education Foundation, which earlier awarded scholarships. We have 3 individuals that will be inducting. Dr. Phyllis Fife, who's a faculty member at Northeastern State University. Miko Thompson on the traditional cultural side of the Ojibwa Hicker Ground, and Jack Jacobs, who's an All-American football player at the University of Oklahoma in the 30s. They will be our 3 inductees. Want to again remind you to please respond, and we'll look forward to a real nice evening. Again, it's black tie or traditional, and there'll be some good food and some good entertainment, and I believe everybody enjoyed it last year, and we'll enjoy it again this year. Maroja get this.
Mr. Giles.
All right, just a moment of your time here again to introduce myself properly. Justin Giles, the Assistant Director of our Museum and Cultural Center Department. And I wanted to bring attention to remind everybody that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I've been working with Sean Partridge over at the Family Violence Prevention Program there. We recently just shot a commercial with Channel 6 that will be airing, I believe, about 90 spots throughout the month of October. Again, having a role of men involved with the stemming the tide or stemming the, action of domestic violence here. So keep an eye out, and I was honored and privileged that they asked me to participate in that, and I will certainly do whatever I can to help provide a men's voice to this. But I will also be involved with an event that will be happening Thursday, October 13th. It will be taking place here in the Mound Building. Registration for the event will be from 12:30 to 1 p.m., and then the presentation will be from 1 to 2 p.m. This is essentially a program that will try to get more involvement from the male side to help, again, bring awareness to domestic violence and see what we can do to prevent our little ones from growing up and breaking the cycle, essentially. Also, for the event on Thursday, October 3rd, all male participants will be eligible for a special prize drawing. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I think there is a football tickets and I can't tell what else, but that's again here, just again reminding everybody that October Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and then we'll have an event here Thursday, October 3rd, beginning at 12:30, and also there are people from the department out there handing out mugs in recognition of the month tomorrow, or sorry, next month. All right, Mado.
Thank you. Back to the motion. Yeah, all right.
Mr. Speaker, I have one announcement. Tonight is Fish Ponds Dance, I believe, and Sunday will be their ball game. Justin Giles is going to defend his reigning title. It might be worthy to see. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything else? Got a motion second to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Representative Pearl Thomas, will you please dismiss us? Amen. Adjourned 11:23.
Ms. Hill? Have a good weekend?
Okay.
Yes, Eddie?